Hey. So tips for working on the pell. Things that I particularly keep in mind always when working on the pell is that you are not attacking a wooden stick. It seems like it, but you actually aren't. What you want to be doing is visualizing an enemy, right? So when I hit the pell, this is the head, this is the body, this is the leg, things like that, right? You don't want to be looking at it like you're just hitting something. When you're practicing your cuts, you have no worries about form or things like that if you're not paying attention. You want to pay attention. You want to have a worry about that. You want to make sure that your cuts are coming in correctly, at the right height, at the right angle. You want to make sure that your hands are on the sword right, your footwork is correct. All of these things go into working on the pell. If, on the other hand, you are working on footwork, the pell is great because it's a nice place for you to center your footwork around. So you can move kind of, geez, these camera angles are tough. Sorry, guys. You can move laterally around the pell and do your footwork correctly. You know, can't see my feet right now, but there it is. So from that point, getting the idea that you actually want to be using this guy as a facsimile of another fencer, as opposed to just something to hit, that's where you can start really gaining help from the pell. So a thing that I do is I imagine strikes coming from me, coming from the pell, I should say, at me. When you imagine those strikes, you want to block and respond as you would normally. So let's say I'm imagining someone striking at me from the top. So I'll block from the top and then respond. Maybe I'll push the sword down and come here. Or maybe I will push my sword up and come here. Or maybe I will even, do a wind and do this and then come around the side. Things like that. If I am striking, like this, it means that I am catching somebody's blade on the way, stepping forward for distance, and striking their head. I'm not just sitting here blindly hitting the pell. Apparently there's a lot of traffic on 8th Street today. Right when I decide to record. And my dog is running around with a stick, of course, as is custom. Other things to focus on with pell work. You don't have to hit too hard. I mean, the pell's nice because you can hit it as hard as you want, but if you're focusing on your form, you want to make sure that you're landing nice strikes, which can, land flush with the blade, hit him with the blade as opposed to the flat. Because if you're wailing away, in longsword, wailing away doesn't work, right? Because you have armor, you have the ability to have judges at competitions and things like that who will see flats and things like, bad hits, skims, all that jazz. So you have to imagine that people will be able to notice when you're hitting, as opposed to, in heavily armored combat, it doesn't really matter if you're hitting with the blade, with the edge of the blade, because you're trying to bowl somebody over, you're trying to concuss them, you're trying to ensure that they are basically not getting up, as opposed to getting sliced, because there's a difference between no gear fencing and armored fencing. So You want to keep that in mind as well. Blade alignment is a great practice for pell work. So I guess in summation, pay attention to what you're doing. Have a visualization of what the other fencer is doing and respond to those visualizations, whatever it may be. It doesn't need to be complicated. It could just be a plain cut, a thrust, whatever you like. Use the pell for your footwork to know how far you are, distance, and how to move around a target with your footwork. And focus on blade alignment and not power, and going slow and getting your skills right. Hopefully that kind of just off the top of my head helps.